Cleveland Browns coming in. I thought the Bengals were going to take care of business even without Jamar Chase, but the Browns won 32-13, and I feel like it wasn't as close as the score makes it seem. Like, the score makes it seem a little bit closer than it was. The Browns absolutely dominated. Joe Burrow could not stay on his feet, and the Browns were just running the ball at will against this team. I don't know what's going on in the NFL. Whenever I think teams are good, then they come out and they lay a stinker. Whenever I think teams are bad, like the Browns, all of a sudden they show up and I don't know, their defense looked like they had a real defense this week when they haven't looked that way the past couple weeks. Is this was this just a single game, or do you think we're seeing a better Browns team?
The defense looked fantastic last night. They were just playing lights out. It was really, really impressive game. They were able to stop the Bengals. And I think the biggest thing was the offensive line. The Bengals offensive line is just not really holding up. I think the Browns are decent. We've known they had a decent defense this whole time. I've been surprised that we haven't been seeing them play as well as they have. They kind of feel similar to the Ravens in the sense that, like, it feels like their defense is much better on paper than we've actually seen them in games recently.
Yeah, I mean, like, but whenever you look at the points scored, like the season started, gave up 24 to the Panthers, 31 to the Jets, 23 to the Falcons, 30 to the Chargers, 38 to the Patriots, 23 to the Ravens. Like, it was rough. Like, this defense just wasn't getting done. But you're right, they looked a hell of a lot better last night. The Cincinnati Bengals seemed like the problem couldn't just be that Chase wasn't on the field, but all of a sudden Chase isn't on the field and this team looks like this. Do you think this offense was missing Chase to the point where it looked this bad, or just?
You know what? I think this offense has holes in it. Mainly the offensive line. Those 5 big holes in the front, and so I think Jamar Chase gives them a nice little, what do you call it, like security blanket, almost. You know, they're able to transcend that a bit with just incredible wide receiver play, and without Jamar Chase, that makes it that much more difficult to overcome that.
Yeah, I mean, and just look at Joe Mixon's numbers to show just how bad this offensive line has been as well. If the number of sacks that Joe Burrow had isn't enough to convince you. Joe Mixon this year, not looking so hot. Last night he had 8 carries for 27 yards, averaging only 3.4 a carry. And that's been the story of the year, right? Like, inefficiency for Joe Mixon. He just can't get it done behind this poor offensive line. And we're seeing that continue. If it wasn't for his work in the receiving game yesterday.
Yeah, 9 targets for Joe Mixon, 7 receptions for 32 yards. You're right. He absolutely made it up in the receiving game. PPR, that's 7 points right there.
Exactly. It saved him because from his rushing yards, he only got 2.7 points. Yeah. Nothing else besides that.
Brutal.
Brutal.